Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Gift or Gete. In our major story, President Goodluck Jonathan launches campaign team in Abuja, urges team to focus on issues in quest for votes. Also in this program, APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari also launches his campaign in Port Harcourt. Movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men endorses the presidential aspiration of Muhammadu Buhari. And outside Nigeria, female suicide bomber kills one police officer, injures another in Istanbul, Turkey. Thanks for staying tuned with us. Now details of the headlines and other stories. President Goodluck Jonathan has set the wheel of his re-election bid in motion by inaugurating his campaign team headed by Ahmadu Ali. In his address, the president charged the team to initiate and maintain a fact-based campaign within the confines of law, as well as with civility and decorum. But Pius Samuel reports that it did not stop his campaign coordinator from raising issues on Muhammadu Buhari's age and the certificate controversy. The report.
Our commitment to free, fair, credible, and violence-free elections remain unshaken. That will also be your own commitment as we go to the field to seek the people's mandate once again. You must always remember that we are a party of Democrats, not a party of hooligans. We're a party of patriots, not a party of renegades. We're a party of statesmen and women. We're a party of builders, not destroyers. We're a party of committed servants of the people. You must let our people see once again that we are indeed to serve and to move Nigeria forward.
We are proud of the product we are marketing. Our product is young, is dynamic, is vibrant, is ready to move Nigeria forward. In the 21st century, where great nations of the world are fielding young men and women in their 40s and 50s as presidents and prime ministers, it is ironic that Nigeria's APC is fielding a septuagenarian with fossilized ideas of how to run a government and social engineering. Nigeria deserves a better leadership than the candidate who has no certificate to tender as requirement for entering an election.
With barely 5 weeks to the 2015 presidential elections, President Goodluck Jonathan's approval rating has dropped by 5 points according to NOI polls. The pollster says the survey result for December shows a decline in the president's job performance from 60% to 50% or 55%. It attributed the drop to what it says are changing perceptions of Nigerians in 3 geopolitical zones that witnessed a series of insurgent attacks towards the end of 2014. A closer look at the report showed a 23% drop in Jonathan's job rating in the Northeast, 14% in North Central, and 10% in Northwest. More findings revealed that power supply worsened in December 2014 compared to November, based on substantial 8-point decrease in the proportion of Nigerians who saw an improvement in power supply. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has kicked off his campaign in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Speaking at the rally, Buhari urged Nigerians to collect their permanent voter cards and wait patiently on election day to vote and defend their votes. He also argued that fundamental issues of the campaign are insecurity and the poor economy, which according to him were made worse by corruption. The rally also saw the party flag being handed over to Dakuku Peterside as the governorship candidate in the state, while over 1,000 PDP supporters were received by APC leaders. APC chieftains at the event include the Director General of the campaign team and Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi, Vice Presidential candidate Yemi Osinbajo, and Speaker of the House of Representatives Aminu Tambuwal. Others are APC Chairman John Odigioyegu, Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun, his Imo State counterpart Rochas Okorocha, and other party leaders. The party's presidential campaign train now moves on to Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. Some of those present at the rally spoke on the presidential race, calling on Nigeria.
The strand can be broken, but when they are together, you cannot. That's why APC has brought this symbol of a broom for our party.
Remember that the change that is upon us can only be done with our voters' card. Go and collect your cards and vote for change. God bless you all. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
You are most welcome to the fastest growing and the incoming government, which is to be formed by the APC.
Fundamental issues facing this country is insecurity and the problem of the economy, which was being made worse by corruption. I assure you that we are going to finally assemble a competent team of Nigerians to efficiently manage this country. I am appealing to you. The damage that has been done to this country is great. The level of unemployment, the level of insecurity is intolerable.
Niger Delta militants under the umbrella of the Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta MEND have declared their support for the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari. The group said in a statement signed by Jomo Bomo that its decision stems from the state of the nation under President Goodluck Jonathan and a strong belief in Buhari. Men also describe threat of a breach of peace by some former Niger Delta militant leaders as empty threats. The group insists that the region is not better than it was under the late President Umaru Yar'Adua and argues that President Jonathan has not done enough to deserve a second term in office. While making a list of what the president failed to do, the militant group says he had since assuming office set up countless committees but failed to implement the reports. Men dismissed Jonathan's recent claim of a plan to tackle corruption, which it said had been on the rise alongside oil theft in the last 6 years. A socio-cultural group, the Indigbo Cultural Society of Nigeria, wants the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, to withdraw from the race. This, according to the group, is to enable the South completes its second term in the presidency, just like the Southwest did under former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The group said in a statement signed by its president, Udeo Garanya, that it had made the call against the backdrop of premutations by some members of the international community on the fate of the country in 2015, while dropping a subtle hint on what it considers as the feelings of the Southeast on Buhari's candidacy. Indigbo Cultural Society noted that any candidate with ill feelings towards that section of the country may not be favorable for the nation. It, however, used the opportunity to make a case for regionalism and full resource control as lasting solutions to many of the nation's problems. The Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Osogbo, hearing petitions from the August 9 governorship election in Osun State, has adjourned sitting till 28th of January. The adjournment was made after the council to the third respondent, the All Progressives Congress, closed the fence on the issues raised by the petitioner, Iyonla Omishere, and the People's Democratic Party. Both parties now await the decision of the Elizabeth Ikpejimi led
The
panel.
second respondent, APC, equally informed the tribunal that they have closed their case. And we were actually expecting that the third respondent, that INEC, will be seeking for an adjournment for the purpose of opening their case. But they said they want to continue immediately. And we're actually expecting them to call physical witnesses to support the preparation of the records that they have in terms of defense. But they did not do that. They attempted to tender about 3 documents. We objected to one, that they did not front-load that particular document, the call identification certificate, in their original pleadings.
We have reviewed the evidence led by the petitioners in this case, and we have come to the conclusion that it's not necessary for us, at least, to go further to call any other witness. You know, we have called witnesses before. The first brother called 19 witnesses, we set up called 13 witnesses. And we know that the witnesses we have called, with the quality of evidence they gave, it is enough for us to win the case.
The managing director of the Lagos State Signage and Advertisement Agency, George Noah, says the agency will not relent in carrying out its constitutional obligation of regulating outdoor advertisement, even in the face of a threat to arrest its officers by the police. It stated that the Commissioner of Police in Lagos may have been misinformed about the activities of the agency and see no reason why officials of LASA should be prevented from performing their legitimate duty. Omotayo Alo was at the press briefing put together by LASA in response to the position of the Lagos Police Command on the issue, and she found in this report.
I have directed all rail commanders and divisional police officers in the command to be on the lookout and arrest anybody that attempts to remove any billboard or poster of any candidate of the various political parties under whatever guise, as the command will not stand by and allow anyone to truncate the forthcoming general election.
Obviously, that warning by the Commissioner of Police in Lagos, Kayode Aderanti, on the disposition to political campaign posters did not sit well with the Managing Director of LASA, Judge Noah, who says his men will continue their constitutional role and take appropriate redress if any of them were arrested.
I would hate to believe that if our staff go out to remove posters or outdoor materials in contravention of our guidelines, the Nigerian police, those whose job it is to protect us, will be the ones that will turn against us. I would hate to believe that.
Noah revealed that there are 727 billboards in Lagos, with LASA handling only 26 to advertise Lagos projects, while the rest are handled by registered outdoor practitioners that politicians and political parties could place legal advert with and not deface Lagos, even though it is an electioneering year.
We have not removed any billboard of any practitioner. And that's why I say that, it appears to me that the Commissioner of Police may have been misinformed. If there is any billboard that we have removed, let anybody come and say it. That Lassa went and removed a billboard belonging to one political party. It's not true. And no one can accuse our staff who go to remove posters on highways of leaving the posters of one party and keeping another.
The agency stressed that it is not partisan in its dealing with political parties, while stressing zero tolerance for posters placed in Lagos highways. He admonished politicians to be more creative in their awareness campaigns and be law-abiding, while also calling on the Nigerian police to enforce law and order rather than pay attention to speculations. Omotayiwa Law, CoreTV News, Lagos.
With the controversy surrounding the distribution of the permanent voter card still rumbling on, a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst and a politician have, however, advised the Independent National Electoral Commission to allow people who have their temporary voter cards to vote in the elections. Oluwaseyi Adegoke, who has been monitoring the situation, presents her findings in this report.
With the general elections just a few weeks away, the question on the mind of many Nigerians who are yet to collect their PVCs is how will the election be without them voting?
People where you know collect, you're supposed to get your own. Say you understand now, because if you don't get, because of our children, supposed to get.
The election cannot be held when you don't have the card because it will resort to fraudness. Because they will try to manipulate people's name without voting and tell them that they've already voted.
They should postpone the election. Yes, that's my own suggestion. Maybe they should postpone the election. Normally, for one to vote, you have to use your PVC. But if you don't have it, you're not going to vote. I think the procedure of collecting it is they need to extend the time.
Surprisingly, this lone voice said something entirely different.
Voted the other time, I saw nothing out of it. So right now, I've decided I'm not going to vote for anybody. Not ready to vote. I'll stay at home and relax.
For this public affairs analyst, Austin Unorum, Nigerians should trust the electoral umpire, INEC.
I have no doubt that INEC is aware of the position of people who haven't collected this, and they also understand that they have to fully be prepared for these elections. They can't afford to fail Nigerians. And honestly, with all sincerity, with the past past results we have had from INEC, I think we still have to give them a chance. It's 40 days to election right now.
The publicity secretary of the Conference of Nigerian Political Parties, Smart Onyema, and a legal practitioner, Monday Ubani, however, advised that INEC should have a rethink on the PVC stand so as not to disenfranchise a lot of people.
The election will come and people will vote. But my advice is if they don't have the capacity to produce such a number of PVC now, they should allow people that have the slip, that are registered, to vote.
I think the INEC should take a rethink about this issue of insisting on using permanent voters card if majority of Nigerians have not collected that PVC, and then maybe have a way of accommodating those with temporary voters card. That is my take. Unless they improve on their level of giving out the PVCs, because most people have been going to the local government areas where they say they can go nearest to their, and they are not being attended to. Nobody is there to attend to them. And so if you have succeeded in depriving many Nigerians the opportunity of exercising their franchise in 2015, so how constitutional, how legal is that election?
Most Nigerians still hold on to the hope that INEC will yield to this advice for them to use temporary voter cards. Oluwaseyi Adegoke, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll be back after this time out. Stay with us.
Happy birthday
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Professor.
My former students.
Happy birthday.
Every day, life is made better by the moments of surprise we create for others and for ourselves. Be better. Surprise someone this season and make sure to text 11 to 400 to get a surprise from MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Do not deface public property. Do the right thing. Let's change the way we think.
Welcome back. It's CoreTV Prime Time News. Now a recap of some of our major headlines. President Goodluck Jonathan launches campaign team in Abuja, urges team to focus on issues in quest for votes. APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari also launches his campaign in Port Harcourt. Movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men endorses the presidential aspiration of Muhammadu Buhari. Now, don't forget that you can also catch us on our social media platforms on Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV News, Live Space News. Lagos State Chapter of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria says it is solidly behind the strike called by the national body of the union to shut down courts across the federation, while also promising not to relent until judicial autonomy is achieved. Olajumoke Olatunji has more in this report.
With the strike called by the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSN, entered its second day, members of the union in Lagos say they will only return to work when a concrete solution is found for financial autonomy for the judiciary. They say that the failure of the Accountant General of the Federation to implement the January 13, 2014 judgments of an Abuja Federal High Court, which has led to strikes before now, is unacceptable.
On strike only once last year, which was called off after the intervention of the Honorable Minister, and a memorandum was reached, which we believe the government will honor. But when it's become imperative that the government is not willing to honor the memorandum, we have no other choice but to embark on another strike.
The union had earlier gone on strike in July 2014 over the matter, but this union leader says the union is ready to dig in until the court judgment is obeyed after almost a year of the ruling.
Until the government is ready to respond. Not just to respond, but to actualize the judgment of the courts.
This legal practitioner calls for a quick resolution of the matter, saying that the impact of the strike on the judicial system is already a huge one that needs to be resolved quickly to avoid escalation.
It's going to cause dislocation in the system. There are many election petitions, and there are many cases involving people in detention. So it's going to affect the freedom of the people. It's going to affect people economically. because dispute resolution time is of the essence, and it will lead to many adjournments. Some of the cases that would have been decided maybe within the next 1 or 2 months may take 6 to 8 months or even 1 year. And justice delayed is justice denied. It will equally lead to self-help. Many people cannot wait until when the strike is over and they start taking this. They will devise means on how to solve their problems using their own hands, perhaps using talks or other means of alternative dispute.
The union's demand is simply that the federal government should grant financial autonomy to the judiciary for it to perform better and meet the yearnings of all Nigerians. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
President Goodluck Jonathan has held a closed-door meeting with governors of the northeast states of Adamawa, Borno and Yobe on the security situation in the area. Also at the meeting were security and defense chiefs as well as some cabinet members. At the end of the meeting, Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade hinted that more troops may be sent into the northeast to build confidence ahead of the election. The governors, for their part, expressed hope that the insurgency would not affect the electoral process in the region.
Elections, as I told you, were conducted in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and in so many other war-torn places, places that are more devastated than the Northeast. Elections can be held in the IDP camps. It's human beings that conduct elections, not spirits or anything. And the human beings that are there, because my take on it is that, are we giving up to the Boko Haram? Are we giving in to their antics by not holding elections? We have to tell them to their face that you can kill, as Malala Yousafzai said, you cannot kill our spirit.
Mr. President invited us, the 3 governors, where the states have insurgencies, to brief him on our security situation in our various states. We have come in, briefed him, and then we told him what the challenges we have been facing, appealing to the federal government to deploy more troops in addition to what we have on ground to arrest the situation in our various states.
Can elections hold in your states?
Definitely.
What are the challenges that you pointed out?
Well, we need more troops. The troops on ground we have in our various states is not enough to contain the situation.
Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade has confirmed that Boko Haram insurgents have taken over Baga, this fishing town that has since 1998 been the base of the multinational joint task force. He also affirmed that other members of the multinational force do not have troops at the army base when the insurgents struck. Nigeria's defense chief is, however, optimistic that his troops would recapture Baga.
No, they have not pulled out of multinational force, because we have held several meetings. We are still part of multinational force. What has been happening is that they have not contributed people to the point of Baga. Chad had people on their own side, but I believe they have withdrawn. Niger had people with us. They too withdrew and left Nigeria only at the multinational joint task force headquarters.
And Chad and all the other countries. What's your opinion, sir?
Well, I wish it could be closed, but how do you close such a very large border? And it is not for military to close border anyway, is it? No, it's not for military.
And what about the attack on the military base, sir? The attack on the military base in Baga?
Of course there was an attack.
Then what happened, sir?
No, don't worry, we are at work.
Can we take back Baga?
Why not?
Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba has presented 500,000 naira to each of the families of 6 of the 14 mobile policemen still missing after an insurgent attack on the police training college in Gwoza, Borno State. This comes barely a week after handing over a similar amount to the families of over 40 police personnel killed in an ambush by members of the military group in Nasarawa State. The Inspector General made the presentation when he visited the families at the Police Mobile Force Base 50 in Kubwa, Abuja. Abba, who is represented by Commissioner of Police in charge of the mobile force, Ibrahim Idris, also assured Nigerians that the force will stand by its personnel at all times. The IG ordered that even though the police is saddened that its men are missing, it would continue to perform its statutory duties of safeguarding lives and property in spite of all odds. Aside from cash presentation, he presented their salaries of the missing policemen. Will promise that the salaries of the missing policemen will be paid for 1 year with effect from August 2014 when the sad incident occurred. An appreciative SP Olutoyin Enisenyi, who is the squadron commander of 50 PMF Kubwa, thanked IGP Abba for the kind gesture of pledging the unflinching loyalty of his men to the force. Also, one Mrs. Esther Ishaya, who spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, thanked the IGP for his show of love and concern and promised that the money would be judiciously used. Following the wide speculations that have engulfed Plateau State and its environs on the security situation in Mangu local government area, Chairman of the Council, Caleb Mat Fuang, while speaking on the developments, set the record straight before journalists in Jos. He confirmed that 8 persons were killed while several houses were razed in the clash between the Fulani and the indigents in 4 villages of Mangu local government area of the state. Mofwang ordered that the violence was ignited by the killing of one Yola Mika by unknown persons in his residence in Maitumbi village on Boxing Day. The crisis climaxed with the attack by the Fulani on some of the communities on New Year Eve, which led to the death of 4 more persons.
We're still collating the actual numbers. The difficulty we've had is that some of the people are located, in small quarters. Some of them were just getting to discover between last night and this morning. In their 30s, in their 40s, The largest concentration so far we have is a group of Fulani women and children that are quartered in a primary school within Mangu town. And as at the time we addressed them yesterday, certainly there couldn't have been less than 60, 70 people there.
The LG bus was, however, not specific on the number of those displaced, among them women and children.
The largest concentration so far we have is a group of Fulani women and children that are quartered in a primary school within Mangu town. And as at the time we addressed them yesterday, certainly there couldn't have been less than 60, 70 people there. Now, like I said, I don't want to give you specifics because I don't have that now. As for the number of houses burned, we have also sent our information unit to go back and take for us accurate statistics. And I'm sure when we are through with those statistics, we'll certainly make them available.
The last has not been heard on the case relating to the death sentence passed on 54 soldiers by the Nigerian Army on December 17th for mutiny and conspiracy. Mixed reactions have, however, trailed the recent interest shown by the United Nations prevailing on the federal government to stop the execution. Even though the proposed UN intervention didn't pose an issue to the 3 analysts, they, however, did not all agree to the reversal of the judgment pronounced on the culprit. Omotayo Alo has details in this report.
For an action punishable by that in accordance with the military law, not a few Nigerians with the emotions at play will readily agree that the death sentence on the 54 soldiers be carried out. In this light, a public affairs analyst, Kayode Shola, has backed the recent UN intervention on the case, saying it is only moral to disallow an unjust action against the soldiers.
Yes, if we don't punish them to serve as deterrent for others, we are likely to have further mutinies happening. But again, beyond that, if we punish them and that punishment becomes politically interpreted by another sector of the society, it's not likely to aggravate the problem we are trying to solve in the first place. This is where the wisdom of the philosopher king comes in. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure we have a philosopher king governing our country now. Maybe one will come tomorrow and then we'll solve the problem.
On the contrary, another public affairs analyst, Justice Uwegbu, says the country will have so much to contend with in the future if the case is not properly handled.
Saying that they complain about their welfare, by implication, what the person is saying that all Nigerians should go and become armed robbers. Because today, as I speak to you, I tell you of a truth that more than 75 to 79% of Nigerians are not happy. They are hungry. The youths are roaming the streets. No employment anywhere. So which means it is not justified for every youth in this country to go and start robbing people, or you become an armed robber, you become a hoodlum and become a problem to the society. That is the justification it's trying. So there's no justification for any crime.
Coming from a rather different perspective, this analyst says there is a need to critically examine the Nigerian army, as there are likelihoods of saboteurs within its fold.
Key issue is that the military should put their house in order. It's unfortunate that this kind of thing is happening within the military that is supposed to be insulated from politics. You understand? But it's quite unfortunate. The key issue is that they should put their house in order, not that this thing has never happened before. Rarely do we hear of mutiny within the military. But this time it's happening because some people obviously have sympathy for, either one camp or the other.
While the 54 soldiers patiently await their fates, analysts have advised that the best decision will be one that would not put the future security of the country in jeopardy. Omotayualo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
It's CoreTV Prime Time News. Thanks for still staying tuned with us. We'll take another break and be back with business, sports and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Professor.
My former students.
Happy birthday.
Every day, life is made better by the moments of surprise we create for others and for ourselves. Be better. Surprise someone this season and make sure to text 11 to 400 to get a surprise from MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
It's CoreTV Prime Time News, now time for business. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, says the commission will not increase energy tariff for residential consumers until June. The chairman of NERC, Dr. Sam Amadi, made the explanation in Abuja on Tuesday at a news conference. Amadi said it will not affect residential consumers until June 2015, while the scheduled increase will apply to other classes of consumers from the January 1st. According to Amadi, the decision to begin the implementation of the residential tariff in June was to balance the demand for adequate electricity supply with new charges. On metering, the chairman said the commission was not satisfied with the level of meter deployment by electricity distribution companies. The company will use the next 6 months to improve on meter spread. He said the companies will use the next 6 months to improve on their meter spread. FBN Insurance Limited has concluded the takeover of Oasis Insurance PLC, having acquired 71.2% interest through a block divestment in February 2014. In accordance with rules of the Securities and Exchange Commission, FBN Insurance Limited made a mandatory takeover bid for the remaining 28.8% equity interest in Oasis Insurance PLC. FBN Insurance Limited elected to exercise its right under 176, Section 176(2) of the Investment and Securities Act to compulsorily acquire shares belonging to the minority shareholders having crossed the 90% threshold. At the close of trading on December 31st, 2014, and in furtherance to the application from Oasis Insurance PLC for voluntary delisting, the exchange delisted the company and its ordinary shares from the daily official list. All right, it's time to join Sabina Izoku for the Nigerian Stock Exchange report.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabina Izoku. The equities market on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a negative note today as the Nigerian All Shares Index depreciated by 4.19% to close at 32,522.31 basis points. The market capitalization decreased to close at 10.76 trillion naira. And all, a total volume of 413.7 million units of shares, valued at 5.3 billion naira, were exchanged in 3,764 deals. Mobiltel, the gainers chart to close at 116 naira, with a gain of 2 naira, followed by Cadbury, PZ Cussons, Ashaka Cement, and Presco. On the flip side, Nestle topped the chart, followed by Supplet Oil, Nigerian Breweries, Dangote Cement, and Guinness. Meanwhile, Equitrust National Incorporation topped the traders chart, to follow by Guarantee Trust Bank, Transcorp, First Bank of Nigerian Holdings, and Sterling Bank. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
And from Sabina Izoku, we move to Frank Omalape to give us details in the world of sports.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball, storming, we all with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead and really.
Thank you for joining us on Sports News tonight. Hi, I'm Frank Omalape. Former Nigerian national team coach Christian Chiku says he is still in shock following the death of former Super Eagles defender Romanos Ojinta. The news broke on January 3 that Ojinta had died in Enugu days after he raised concerns about his health. Chiku, who coached Ojinta at the national team, said he was shocked when he was informed about the death of the former Enyimba FC defender. Ojinta was capped 13 times for Nigeria at senior level between 2003 and 2004. And Chiku, who was Super Eagles coach at the time, went down memory lane and highlighted some special moments as they both shared. Ojinta played for Enugu Rangers and Julius Berger before joining Enyimba FC and captaining them to CAF Champions League success in 2003. He then moved to Norway, where he teamed up with Lille-SK before returning to the Nigerian Professional Football League for 2 stints with Heartland and Niger Tornadoes. Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard is on the brink of finalizing an 18-month deal to join Los Angeles Galaxy. The 34-year-old will sign a contract worth around £4 million per year, making him one of the top earners in Major League Soccer. An announcement is suspected this week following Friday's shock news that Gerrard will quit Liverpool at the end of the season. He will be available to join Galaxy once his Reds contract expires in June. David Beckham famously spent 5 years at the La club until 2012, while Gerrard's ex-Liverpool teammate Robbie Keane currently plays for the Galaxy. FIFA Vice President Prince Al bin Al Hussein will challenge incumbent Sepp Blatter for the leadership of the World Football's governing body. The Jordanian prince will stand as a candidate at FIFA's presidential election on 29th of May, where Blatter will seek a fifth term office. UEFA President Michael Platini is said to be pleased that Prince Ali has decided to enter the race and will attempt to get the Jordanian as many votes as possible in Europe. Last month, former England captain Gary Lineker described the way FIFA was running world football as a farce after the governing body became embroiled in allegations of World Cup bidding corruption. Former diplomat Jerome Champagne, who joined FIFA in 1999, is the only other challenger to have confirmed his intention to challenge for the presidency. Candidates wishing to declare their interest must do so before 29 January. And finally tonight, Arsenal shareholder Stan Kroenke is set to invest in major new development which could see National Football League franchise return to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the United States' second city but does not currently have an NFL team. Kroenke owns the Rams NFL, who are currently based in St. Louis but were located in Los Angeles until 1994. The American plans to build an 80,000-seater stadium in the Inglewood suburb. Kroenke has partnered with real estate firm in Stockbridge Capital Grove, which owns the 238-acre Hollywood Park site in Inglewood. Well, then that's it on Sport News tonight. I am Frank Omalape. The rest of the news continues shortly.
And from Frank on sports, we go outside Nigeria, Turkey to be precise, where a female suicide bomber blew herself up in the most visited tourist district of Istanbul, killing herself and a Turkish policeman, officials say. The woman went into the police station in the Sultanahmet district and told the police in English she had lost her wallet before setting off her explosive. Governor Vasip Şahin said on Turkish television. One policeman was badly wounded and died of his wounds in hospital. The officials, Anatolia News Agency, reported a second policeman was lightly wounded. Both were staffing a tourist police post intended to assist tourists with questions and problems. And just before we go, a recap of our major headlines. We told you that President Goodluck Jonathan has launched his campaign team in Abuja. He urges team to focus on issues in quest for votes. There was also reports that the APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari has launched his campaign in Port Harcourt. You also heard on our primetime news that the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men endorsed the presidential aspiration of Muhammadu Buhari. That's our show for tonight. On behalf of the entire crew, I am Gift or Getta. Do have a lovely night rest and enjoy the